Listen, I say this in almost every video. I am no expert on zine, I am no authority, or I'm no expert on zine, singular, just one zine. So I think it's pretty obvious the biggest sign you should make a zine is that you clicked on this video. Something about the title or the thumbnail reeled you in, and I'm willing to bet it's because of the word zine. Maybe you've heard of zines but don't know much about them, so you're doing research, or perhaps you do know about zines and you're just looking for inspiration. Whatever the reason, you clicked on this video, and I think it's because deep down you want to make a zine. And if you aren't familiar with the medium, zines are just self-published booklets that can be about anything you want. I like to tell people to think of them like homemade magazines because they're DIY, cheap to make, and easy to distribute. Zines have been around for a long time, but were most popular in the 70s and 90s to promote punk bands, art, and share interviews with small creators in a word-of-mouth kind of way. Today, in 2023, zines are not just limited to being made by hand. Many people make them with apps like Photoshop and Procreate, on their desktop with Canva. Some people screen print their zines, and a lot of people even create them on their phones. Just like in the 70s and 90s, zines still focus on being a form of expression rather than making a bunch of money, so they're very creative, messy, and cheap, but always free-spirited in nature. The second sign that you should make a zine is that you've thought about making one before. I can't tell you how many times people have told me, I want to make a zine, but insert whatever excuse we make to not create something. And this is not a shade. It's very common for people to have the desire to make a zine but not sure where to start, or maybe think that they don't have the right equipment to get started. And I'm here to tell you, as someone that's been making zines for a really long time, that there's inspiration everywhere. You could find inspiration in small things, big things, everyday life, and you don't need any fancy tools or equipment to get started making zines. So if you've ever envisioned yourself making a zine, this is your sign to do it. I know it's easy to get overwhelmed with how endless the possibilities and options are on what you can make your zine about, but let me help you narrow it down a bit. This is my trick to help me pick a zine idea. I grab a sheet of paper and make two columns, one of things I love and the other of things that I hate. The reason I do this is because I know either column will bring out strong emotions from me. After my list is done, I do a process of elimination of what I'd most want to make a zine out of and circle the best one. After I decide on a topic, I just start decorating my zine. Okay, and the third sign that you should make a zine is that you're knowledgeable about something specific. I think it's safe to assume that everyone has some kind of specialized knowledge in something, or maybe I'm being biased because I'm neurodivergent and I have my special interests that I obsess over and know way too much about, but zines are a great medium to be able to share that information that you're so knowledgeable about with the world. For example, my special interest is obviously zines and paper crafts, so I dedicate my whole channel to that. All my social media platforms are dedicated to what I love, which are zines and paper crafts. So what I could do is make a zine about what I know about zines. In my zine, I could teach people how to make them. I could teach them the history of them, you know? It's because I'm so knowledgeable about the subject. I know how to make zines, I know how to distribute them, I know how to make money from them. So my zines, to be able to share with the world and help other people, could be about everything I know about the zine community. So what are you super informed on? Do you know something super niche about fish that you think the world should know about? Or maybe you know random facts about your favorite boy band. Whatever you're a self-proclaimed expert on, I think transforming all of that stuff into a zine, getting it out of your head and onto paper in a way that you can distribute to people will be greatly appreciated to the ones looking for more information about that thing. There are a lot of zines like this out there, like this zine by Christina Torres, who is an expert on bikes. Inside, she discusses things like cycling as a female and how to respond to street harassment. She also goes over the history of cycling, how cycling can be a symbol of freedom, and even makes an argument of how the activity should be part of social change. There's also a lot of personal anecdotes about what cycling means to the creator and how it has given her the tools for fun, liberation, fashion, and self-expression. Here's another example of how a zine maker was knowledgeable about a topic and decided to publish it in a zine. This one is called The History of Black Hair and the Crown Act by Montasia Unique. And inside, we are taken on a journey of how black hair was styled during enslavement, laws that were created to police how black people wore their hair in public, and then we are taught early products black women used to help grow their hair. Montasia goes through an entire timeline of black hair and discusses the ways in which our hair is negatively perceived by mainstream media, which leads to the passing of the Crown Act of 2019. This is a legal protection against hair discrimination in the workplace. Whether black people decide to go natural, wear protective hairstyles, or wigs is ultimately up to them, and it is now against the law to make rules stating otherwise. Fourth sign that you should make a zine is that you're pissed. What makes you want to flip a table? What do you think deserves justice? Instead of stewing in all that energy, you can expel it out into a zine. A joke within the zine community is that zines you make when you're upset about a certain human rights violation or gossiping about someone you don't like are like those burn books from Mean Girls, and they're not wrong. I have a zine series called You Kinda Suck where I talk about all the shitty people I've dated and all the times I was pretty shitty in dating too. Creating zines like this can help you regulate your emotions, vent about your frustrations, and self-reflect on your experiences. Maybe you don't have friends and family that you trust with your complaints. Well, making a zine about it may help you feel better. And mind you, you don't even have to share this with anyone. You can just create it, get all your feelings out onto paper, and save it for yourself to look back on in a few years and laugh at. If you do make zines like this where you're complaining about certain people, one thing I always try to do, I try, is I change the names of people in my zines. This is completely optional and just a personal preference, but I'm of the opinion that sometimes people just make mistakes, and a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about in my zines is not really like breaking crimes or anything. It's usually just people have hurt my feelings, or I'm going through a breakup or something like that. So this is not about not holding people accountable, because I definitely share my stories in my zines and I say what happens, and it's there no matter how sorry they are. It's still my experience, and I have every right to be able to process and talk about it in any way that I see fit. However, I'm not shading anybody that decides to use real names in their zines. Plenty of people do this, and it's a great way to be able to protect the community from abusers or criminals or, you know, generally bad people. But me personally just wanted to put that out there, that I'm not reporting crimes or anything. I'm just venting about people that have hurt me or that I don't like for whatever reason. So again, that's up to you. Trust your gut, use your best judgment on that. I just thought it was important to put that in there just to be a little bit responsible. I get a lot of questions on that. People ask me that all the time if I include the real names. Sometimes I do because I forget to change the names, or I just purposely change the names because the stuff that I'm mentioning, I believe people can change for, and I would hate if I made a mistake in my life and someone crucified me for it in a zine. I don't know, maybe I'm giving people too much benefit of the doubt, but that's just what I do. The fifth sign that you should make a zine is that you believe in accessible art. Because the nature of zines is so DIY and punk and free, anybody of any age and any background, any financial status can make one. I'm a person who believes everybody has the right to be able to express themselves, voice their opinions, share their art, and if you're a person that believes in that too, I think that zines are a great medium for you. There are a million zillion ways to make your zine, one of the most popular being picking up a sheet of paper and scissors. But did you know that there's an online zine maker that you can use for even more accessibility? Yes, there is a website called Electric Zine Maker where you can make a zine online. With templates, images, art, and writing tools, this site is an amazing art resource that makes creating and printing zines easy. If you don't have access to a computer to use Electric Zine Maker, one thing I always suggest people do is to get a library card for your local library, and you have access to use the computers there. Also, a lot of libraries host zine workshops, and there's a lot of places within your city that may host zine workshops where you're able to make zines with them. It's very accessible. Most times it's free. If you live in my city, one place that you might like to visit is called Place Printing Studio, and at Place, they help you create zines and produce them and distribute them very cheaply. And if you'd like to host your own zine workshop, it's very simple to do, and you can hit up your local library in order to collaborate and make that happen. I'm also going to link in the description a great article that helps you get all the tools and resources that you need to host a very good zine workshop yourself. That way you can make zines accessible for you, but also for people in your city. The sixth sign that you should make a zine is that you're crafty. So would you describe yourself as a creative person? Are you someone that likes to knit or crochet or paint or write poetry? Maybe you're a dancer, maybe you're an athlete. I think all of those things are super creative. It involves using your body, and because of that, I think those skills will transfer over into making zines. You can easily create a zine about the things that you love to do in order to teach someone else about it, in order to vent or complain about it, or just to express your love for that thing. I think what's so cool about this is that because zines have no rules to them, you can definitely include mixed media into your zine. So what I mean by that is, say you love to knit, so you want to make a zine with like patterns or something like that. You could use mixed media and make your cover out of fabric. Or maybe you're a dancer and you want to teach someone some moves. You can easily put in QR codes in your zine that lead to videos of you teaching someone different things. Like the QR code could lead to a tutorial that you posted on YouTube, and then you could pass them out to dancers that you meet throughout your day, or to your students if you're a teacher. Or maybe you're a painter or you love to draw. I love to suggest using mini zines, and then every page could be like a tiny canvas. It's really up to you to decide what you use your other skills in your other art form when it comes to zines. But I think the opportunities and the possibilities are endless with this, and it's super creative just watching the two worlds collide. The next sign that you should make a zine is that you're tired of doom scrolling. Do you ever get mad at yourself for just spending way too long in bed scrolling TikTok or posting pictures on Instagram? Or maybe you're like me and you're addicted to watching YouTube videos. If this is a problem you're facing, then making zines will definitely pull you out of that digital funk. By creating something with your hands, making your ideas come to life in a tangible way, you will be transported into a world that focuses more on you rather than everyone else on social media. Making zines can sometimes be a form of self-care in that way. Speaking from my personal experience, when I spend too much time on my phone, I can end up feeling really depressed. I start comparing myself to other people my age and rethinking my life choices, and then before you know it, I'm in a horrible mood. However, when I'm making zines, I feel energized, I'm inspired, I'm happy. And there's actually a term for this phenomenon, and it is called flow state, or being in the zone. This is a mental state where you're so immersed in an activity that you're actually being charged up by your intense focus on it. A great movie example of this is the Disney Pixar movie Soul, where a jazz musician enters flow state often. It's one of my favorite movies, so I had to give it a shout out, and I believe you could stream it on Disney Plus and Netflix. But anyway, there are a lot of benefits for entering this flow state, and I know that I enter flow state more often when I'm being creative and using my hands rather than when I'm just scrolling on my phone. So now that we know these things, which would you rather be in? Which state would you like to be in more often? Would you like to be doing something creative where you're expressing yourself in a tangible way with zines, feeling good, feeling productive, feeling energized? Or would you rather be doom scrolling on Instagram way too often? Because, you know, being on your phone is good in moderation, but if you doom scroll, that means you've gone way too far. You've passed the threshold of no return, and now you're scrolling on your phone and you're comparing yourself to others, and you feel like you're falling behind in life. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad. So which state would you rather be in? Making zines and being happy? Or would you rather be doom scrolling and feeling sad? And the last and final sign, this is sign number 8 that you should make a zine, is because I'm telling you to. Listen, I say this in almost every video. I am no expert on zine. I am no authority, or I'm no expert on zine, singular, just one zine. No, I'm no expert on zines. I'm no authority over paper crafts. I'm just a girl that is obsessed with making them. I love sharing what I know about them. That way other people are able to express themselves in this medium the same way that I am. I am a huge fan of zines and paper crafts, and I think there's a huge benefit to making them. So with my interest and knowledge in zines, I feel like I have the right to bully you into making one. All I'm saying is that I've been making these things for a really long time, so I know the good feelings associated with creating zines, and I want to share that with you. You can trust me when I say that making zines will make you feel really good about yourself. You'll feel proud of yourself, and you'll be able to vent and get all your frustrations out, or maybe you'll be able to share pertinent information with the world. Maybe you'll be able to help someone leave an abusive relationship by making a zine compiling all the signs and symptoms of abuse. You know, there's so many ways that you can help others by making zines, and I feel like I'm doing my duty as a zine maker by sharing this with you. When you decide to not only make a zine but share it with others, it becomes something beyond you. It reaches and touches another person, even if it's just one person. I always say this, but even if it's just one person, that person matters. That's so important. So whether you make a zine about why you enjoy roller skating like Ezra did with her Roller Moon mini zine, maybe your letter grading vending machines you've used like Happy Fellow Design did, someone is gonna read it, be inspired by it, hate it, whatever, but that means that you shifted the world in some way, and isn't that cool? Being a zine maker means that you're encouraged to encourage other people. We are all about community, learning, experimenting, making a mess. So like I said before, I wouldn't be doing my job if I just gatekept all of this shit for myself. So I'm telling you to make a zine because I want to push you out of your comfort zone, or maybe push you into something that you'll really enjoy and find your place in, find your belonging in. This is a community that is very inclusive. All skill levels are welcome. Anybody with any kind of idea, big or small, weird or whatever, is welcome here. And I just encourage you to just don't overthink it. Just make it. Just make it, create it, share it, discuss it, sell it, whatever you want to do. Just do it. And if you need help with making your zines, or you just want to learn more about them, I have a lot of zine resources on my website. You can just find it in the link in the description. It's in a big Google Doc and I try to update it often. I also have a playlist that looks like this, and it's called What the F is a Zine, and other zine information that you may need to know about. Also, feel free to follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok, where I post a lot of other zine tips and advice. I also share a lot of my own personal work. It's kind of like my portfolio, so if you want to follow me to gain inspiration or just see what kind of work I'm up to, definitely feel free to do that. They look like this, but I'll put a link in the description for those sites as well. And now that you're aware that you should make a zine, what are you going to make your zine about? I would love for you to also share that in the comments. Just use the comment section as a discussion board, please. I read all the comments. I love connecting with you guys. I love hearing what you have to say. And thank you all for watching. Remember to be kind to everybody, especially yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video.